Diane, on the books, let's say you have the books in the mud, and you have some books that are totally immersed in mud, some that aren't. First of all, first response would be wearing gloves. Okay. Secondly, maybe put in distilled water first, maybe do some interleaving, and then do the freezing. Would that be a proper protocol?
Yes.
And more evenly wetting out in case they're half wet and not half wet, van der Waals forces and so on?
Obviously, it depends on the materials with which they're made. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you can actually wash them and interleave them, mm-hmm. okay, before you freeze them. Right. And that maybe would be the ideal thing. Depending on the types of objects. For example, in the National Library, there were things on parchment, but there were things on rag paper, mm-hmm. and there were things on modern wood pulp paper. And these three, just to say three, had totally different necessities. That's why it's extremely important, even for the private owner, to know what objects he has and what they're made of, in order to tell the persons eventually in need, this is a 1950 book printed on cheap paper. This is, because the more recent these objects are, and I'm not talking only about printed material, but paintings or any art objects, the more recent they are, the more problems they're going to create to you from that point of view. So it's fundamental in these cases that whoever owns these objects has a knowledge, at least a basic knowledge and a listing, a report listing on what they are and what they're made of and what they are. Because that way, even if you're called into an emergency, they have the listing and say, well, this cannot be washed beforehand because that type of material won't stand up to it. It's better to freeze it as it is. These others, instead, you can. And then the people who are going to be doing the intervention can act in a more conscious way, a more, efficient way from that point of view. Because yes, it's true, some of the things can be and should be previously emergency treated, but not all, okay?